missing offense that's been eluding them here as of late. Leah Freeman in goal for the Blue Devils, and let's love the game from Charlottesville. The Virginia Cavaliers on their home field in white, the Duke Blue Devils visiting in blue. Jen Hildreth, Lori Lindsay, glad to have you along for the ride for this one. And you see number 3, Jeneba Endow in blue for Duke, making her first career start this afternoon. Something that I think the entire Duke team was really excited about. Just a player that the coaches were telling us all of her teammates just adore. So happy to see her getting this opportunity. Both teams have been hit pretty hard with some injuries. That's opened up the door for others to step in.
Well, and you mentioned just at the beginning, Jen, about the formation change for the Duke Blue Devils, going with a 3-4-3 formation, giving them a bit more control, feel like they can overload the midfield, stay more connected. This team does look significantly different than it did last year, especially without Michelle Cooper leading the line up top, who was a pivotal part in their attack in terms of scoring goals, but also allowing them to be a bit more of a transitional team. Now they need more combination play. This formation allows for that.
Yeah, it's such a great point. Michelle Cooper, what a tremendous, though brief, just 2-year career she had, but Hermann Trophy winner last year for the Blue Devils, now playing in the NWSL. And similar story, when you have programs that are consistently successful, as both of these two have been, you are going to lose players of high caliber. And Virginia also with a good number of players often playing professionally now in the NWSL and elsewhere. And you add in some injuries, Leah Godfrey being one of the main ones, but Emma Dawson also the best leaders on this Virginia team. And then Lainey Rouse, one of the top defenders. Godfrey, a 3-time All-American for the Cavaliers, and that's some of the production that you are missing and not seeing with this goal-scoring drought that Virginia is on. Just 1 goal in the last 418 minutes played for the Cavaliers. Duke will play it back. Leah Freeman, as I mentioned, the transfer coming in to take over for Ruthie Jones in goal. And Virginia applying a little pressure here, as David Urbacher, our referee, blows the whistle. Freeman, as Steve Swanson, a familiar face on the sideline for Virginia, 3-time ACC Coach of the Year, 5th amongst all active coaches in the country in terms of all-time wins.
And big opportunity, Jen, for the Cavaliers here at home. Big rivalry in the ACC between Virginia and Duke, so always a game that both of these coaches talk to us about. They get up for, they're excited about, similar styles of play. Both want to keep possession, both want to work their way into the attack with a combination, a variety of ways that they want to attack. And good opportunity here off of the set piece now is going to see the Cavaliers earn themselves the first corner kick of the game.
Yeah, and Virginia has had a couple of early goals this season, back when they were scoring aplenty in the non-conference in particular. Boy, they really came out firing, and we'll see if they can connect here. Alexis Theoret, excellent on her service on set pieces. Puts the ball into the box. A couple of players vying for it. Duke had it defended initially. Virginia still with a chance. Duke eventually comes away with it. Cam Roller, the freshman who stepped right into a big role defensively, number 7 in blue for Duke.
Well, and really good work for the Blue Devils just to work their way out of the pressure, because that's something we're going to see from Virginia this entire match, is picking their moments, when to press higher up the field. And Jen, one of the questions that you ask is, how do you start scoring if you're both of these teams haven't been proficient enough in front of a goal, creating opportunities, but not finding the back of the net as often as they would like. And some of that starts with your defensive pressure higher up the field, looking to see if you can turn the opposition over and then create chances with numbers already higher up the field.
And as you said, both of these teams, they want to keep the ball. That is part of their DNA. It's the type of players that they recruit. Karina Laguerre, you saw for a moment there, number 16 in blue. Robbie Church has really been pleased about what she's been able to do, but now the Cavaliers with a chance on the attack, have some numbers going forward. Allie Ross was calling for it in the middle. Maggie Cagle on it now, puts it past Ross.
Well, and this is going to be the challenge for Virginia this evening, or this afternoon, excuse me, is just finding where the space is, because with Duke playing this new formation, the 3 center backs on their back line, the space is going to be out wide. So Virginia just needs to make sure they don't narrow the field too quickly. So Cagle on the ball, an opportunity. She's trying to feather that ball in between. But it's going to be easy defensively for the Blue Devils. The Cavaliers narrow the field too quickly in the attack.
Roller stepping up to keep possession for Duke. And the defense has really started to come together for the Blue Devils. It was a little shaky at the start of the season, 8 goals against in their first 4, but the last 5, you just saw some of the numbers, and since they've come into conference play, they've been really stingy. Part of that is players like Cam Roller getting healthy, Bailey Brewster getting back. In the loss to Notre Dame, Duke lost both of their starting center backs in that game, and Emily Royson still out. Brewster has come back. Kayla White will get the touch here in goal for Virginia. Second year as a starter for the Cavaliers.
Well, going back to your point, Jen, about the players out and some returning for the Blue Devils, is one of the reasons as we're going to see them attack. Yep.
Yeah, they got the turnover here, Lori, but now the offside will give us a chance to recollect, but you have to be careful in those moments. Distributing out of the back, the last thing you want to do is turn it over.
Well, and it's Rader that's offside in the end, but great positioning from her. We mentioned she's going to lead the line, be the player that's going to look to get in behind quickly for the Blue Devils. Just a bit too ambitious early on in this game. But going back to my previous point, is the significant pieces missing, some returning for the Duke Blue Devils. One of the reasons why they have switched to this 3-4-3 formation. And that's what I really appreciate about Robbie Church's team, the ability to have a little bit of tactical flexibility throughout the seasons, not being wedded to one formation, just seeing what's available, where they have the most depth, where they can get the most out of their players. And we're seeing that today against the Virginia Cavaliers.
Oh, an opportunity now. Allie Ross, the freshman from Atlanta, is stopped in her tracks. Good defensive recovery there. This Virginia team, too, has that tactical flexibility you talked about. They can shift. They have shifted formations as needed. But this is the preferred formation. This 4-3-3 is where they like to be. When you think about, Lori, that match they played against #1 North Carolina, it was just a 1-0 win for the Tar Heels in that game on September 21st. And it was North Carolina that had to change in that match because of the way that Virginia was really dominating the play. Samar Guidry, senior for the Cavaliers, 4th year, I should say, who loses it here, gives it away to Rader. Can she take advantage? No, not quick enough. It's a couple of times, though, that the Virginia defense is just given a gift to the Blue Devils. Good look from Guidry, but also good coverage from Duke. That pass immediately smothered.
Well, this is where both teams are going to have to be incredibly smart when they are in possession, moving it side to side quickly, finding the open space, creating the angles early to be able to have an outlet to bypass the pressure defensively, because both teams, outside of not scoring as much as they would like in the attack, have been good defensively. Their shape has been excellent. Been difficult to to break them down defensively.
Now that was Meredith McDermott, really one of the first times she's been involved in the attack, number 9 for Virginia, the player you highlighted, Lori. But that pass, you have to get it just right, because as you said, both defenses have found their way of knowing where they need to be, and that was cut off well. Talia Stouty, such a veteran in the back, and another giveaway. This one right at midfield. Elle Piper takes it for Duke. Now to Laguerre. Cross from Laguerre. Not a great clearance. Right back toward the center of the field. Piper on it again. And these are those opportunities that I think probably have the Duke coaching staff feeling frustrated, because you need better from those.
Well, especially when you put yourself in a good position defensively, cutting off passes, making the game predictable for yourself. And it starts with a turnover in the attacking half for the Duke Blue Devils, and then they've got numbers going forward. And it's great positioning here from Piper just to be able to retain possession right outside the 18-yard box, but just never really commits to that shot in the end, pulls it wide. But you're exactly right, Jen, spot on in terms of being more clinical. And if it's not on to take the shot yourself, keep the ball moving, look for a better opportunity, as we're going to see the foul in the middle of the field, and the Cavaliers will put it back into play quickly.
And it's a little surprising. I mean, there are such veterans on that back line, Stouty, Guidry. That's not where you expect the miscues to happen. You've got all your young players here in the attack, but they're trying to make something happen now for Virginia. Cagle lost it off her foot.
Yeah, had players around her, has to release that ball a bit quicker.
Allie Ross. 4 goals, 1 assist on the season for the first year. Brewster just blocked the ball down. Now Duke trying to find a way out, but Virginia will win it back.
And this really is an excellent test for both of these teams, because you just heard Steve Swanson telling his team, pressure, as soon as that ball is turned over, can they get immediate pressure on the ball, make it difficult for the Blue Devils to be able to build out, and now they have numbers going forward.
Yeah, this is what you want to see if you're Virginia. Ball winds up grazing the top of the net, though. Chloe Yapich taking the shot.
Hey, what are we in now? Come on, let's go some more.
Well, the afternoon rolls on next with a volleyball doubleheader. Florida State hosting Duke, and we cap the afternoon with 5th-ranked Louisville and NC State in Raleigh at 4 Eastern. That's right here on ACCN and the ESPN app. In case you missed it earlier, mentioned that Robbie Church back in Durham at home with an illness, so sending our best wishes to him. Kieran Hall is associate head coach, the acting head coach for today. Kieran's 5th year with the program. He spent previous 3 years with the Duke men as well. And maybe it's a little early, Lori, to start throwing out terms like must win. You don't want that to be overused, but for Virginia in particular, Cavaliers did not have any losses through their non-conference portion of the season, but since they've gotten into conference play, they had a draw at Louisville and then a loss against #1 North Carolina, and then a loss in their last game at Wake Forest. So coming off back-to-back losses, first time that has happened in a season for Virginia since 2009.
Well, and I think the expectations of both of these programs is why it kind of feels like a must-win game. But as we've heard Steve Swanson say, this is a great opportunity for players that maybe wouldn't get as many minutes as they're getting this season so far without the injuries, the departures of some really significant pieces. You look at the front line for the Cavaliers, 2 sophomores and a freshman that are having to lead the line, be in charge of scoring the majority of the goals.
And a little slip defensively opens something up here. Cavaliers still on it. That's Cagle. It was Flamia initially who was charging forward. So good with the ball at her feet, number 19 in white. We've talked about the injuries, Lori, and I thought Steve Swanson put it really succinctly when he talked to us, saying, in order here, we lost our best player, our best defender, and our best leader.
Hey. Draw her down here.
And we apologize. We're back with you now. Had a few technical difficulties. Jen Hildreth, Lori Lindsay back on the microphone for this matchup. And I guess the good news is we're still scoreless. So 0-0 between number 17 Duke and Virginia. Both teams in need of a victory here to move up the ACC standings. Virginia down toward the bottom, and Duke also in 9th at the moment. One shot apiece for each team. Defense hasn't been the issue, not since they've gotten into conference play. It's the offense that these teams have been missing. Ball bounces back to Leah Freeman in goal, as I said earlier. 3 years at Oregon, where she was a Pac-12 goalkeeper of the year last year, now stepping in for Duke. 22 shutouts in her career, including one in the last game for the Blue Devils in a 0-0 draw against NC State. Virginia taking it over, has some numbers, an opportunity for Cagle. Maggie Cagle in the box. I feel like that's been the story, Lori, for both teams so far. Maybe just not quick enough to make that final execution, whether it's a pass or a shot in the box.
Well, it's also the first touch that's let both of the teams down when they're inside the box, because that's the first time that we've seen an early ball in for Virginia.
And now Duke coming the other way. Devin Lynch trying to get end line.
Yeah, and the heavy touch from, and it's the heavy touch, Jen, from Lynch as well. But on the other end, it's the first ball that we've really seen that's played early from the Virginia Cavaliers. Too many touches in the previous attempts. And here's the turnover that allows them to get a 3v3 situation. There's the early ball and a positive first touch from Cagle, but it's played right into the hands defensively of Laguerre, who had tracked back to help out for the Blue Devils on the other end, and allows it to be made predictable defensively inside their own 18-yard box.
Now 5 goals, 4 assists on the season for Maggie Cagle. Coming off an excellent freshman year. She was an all-ACC third-team selection, had 12 assists in 2022. That was the most amongst all freshmen in the country. Quick look over the shoulder. Virginia trying to keep possession through the midfield here, an area they certainly thought they would be really strong and experienced, but they've had to adjust with some of the departures and the injuries this season. Alexis Theoret, number 3 there, my goodness. How many good things did Steve Swanson, Lori, have to say about her when we talked to him this week?
Yeah, and she has really been the glue to this Cavaliers team, linking play, helping out defensively, putting herself in wonderful positions, and they're going to need to get her on the ball a bit more often, especially in possession, to be able to swing it, switch it side to side, really ignite the attack.
Always been a really talented player, but maybe just overshadowed a little bit with some of the other midfielders that have come through Virginia over the last few years. Here's Theoret on the ball.
Well, we saw the injury list for this year's team for the Cavaliers, but then you add in Haley Hopkins, Alexa Spanstra as well, that have departed for the pros, the NWSL, and add in Leah Godfrey to those 3. This
is a great ball in the box. Who gets there first? Freeman, Cagle, all colliding at the same time, and Elle Piper as well, coming back to help defensively. There goes the headband for Cagle. Get that later.
Yeah, she's like, I don't need this anymore, putting on the Jets. But for how good defensively Duke has been, there's been a few nervy moments. That ball just sneaks through. Cagle trying to get on the end of it, and a little bit of last-ditch defending from the Blue Devils. A bit more nervy than they would want, especially once the ball enters into their 18-yard box. Just going back to the previous point, Jen, with the amount of pieces missing, Leah Godfrey in particular, Haley Hopkins, Alexis Spanstra, those players combined for 54% of the goal production last year. So when you think about how important they have been, how much some of these younger players are having to step up and fill that void, it is going to take time, and it's going to be about getting on the same page for the Cavaliers, making sure they're combining the communication, and that starts with Theoret in the midfield, just linking both lines defensively and in the attack, making sure that everybody's on the same page.
Looks like we're going to have our first substitutions of the match. So Devin Litch, the player coming off, and Phoebe Goldthwait, which is a name you might hear on both sides today. Phoebe's sister Peyton also plays for Virginia, so we may see a sister battle. They have another sister who plays at Wake Forest. Pretty talented family.
I would say so.
3 playing in the ACC. Okay. This ball bounces for Piper, who has had some opportunities. She has been everywhere, Piper. Those wing backs, she tries to get the shot off. They track back defensively. It was Piper who helped back the last time Virginia was attacking, and she gets into the box too. Foul here on Duke. We'll give it to Virginia.
And Piper and Dow on the other side are going to be important going forward in this game to not only supply the width for the Blue Devils, but also, as you mentioned, getting up and down the field, being a threat in the attack, helping back defensively. Yeah, so much of those players, and we'll see how long those two can go throughout this match, because with this new formation, not always going to be used to the amount of running that's being asked. So can they pick up some really good positions to get the ball at their feet at times, just slow the play down when necessary to regain not only some of their positioning, but also just to slow it down, regain, and collect their breath as well.
Duke trying to pressure this Virginia back line, and it's successful. It results in a throw-in for the Blue Devils. Piper looking to pop it over the top for Goldthwait. Mentioned the Goldthwait sisters. Phoebe is a freshman for Duke who came into the match, and there is her older sister Peyton, a senior for the Virginia Cavaliers. They hail from Durham, so I would think Phoebe the one who opted to stay home, and Peyton and Baylor both going off to play elsewhere in the ACC. Goal kick here for Virginia. Just been one corner kick in the match so far. That was by Virginia in the early minutes. Kayla White looking for options. You can see there's nothing short that Duke's willing to give up. They're asking her to play that ball over the top, it looks like, Lori.
And baiting her to play short as well, so then they get themselves in this position. Look at the amount of numbers for the Blue Devils around the ball, and it's making it difficult right now for the Cavaliers to be able to play out, and then they're forced to go long. But this is when they've been most successful, often running quickly, getting numbers into the attack, and it's just that final pass right now.
Yeah, that's a good pass right there. This is Sarah Bruner, just came into the match. Maggie Cagle doing the setup work, and Bruner making things happen on the offensive end.
Well, and it ended up being an excellent through ball because Bruner was able to get on the end of it, but all she had to do was square it across and had players in the box. And again, this is where the Cavaliers have been most successful. Quick attacks, look to play in behind the back line of the Blue Devils, and then it's Bruner that just wants to get there first, and had Carter that was darting into the box, just needs to square it right there, get her head up, instead tries to go for gold herself.
Second corner for the Cavs. 4 players wind up on the ground, and the call is goal kick.
And that is one that the Cavaliers will want back, because it would have been an easy tap in for Carter, who just come on the field if that ball was squared across. And it's those decisions, those little moments that Steve Swanson has talked about that they need to clean up, because that would change the complexity of this game completely, force the Blue Devils to have to come off of their defensive shape and really start to push numbers forward into the attack.
You mentioned Maya Carter, Lori, one of those other subs, along with Anaya Collier, number 12, who'd come on for Virginia. Kadi Drazina, transfer from Notre Dame, also replaced Endow for Duke. Obviously, there's a player down here for the Blue Devils. That's Bailey Brewster. She's just had some really bad injury luck throughout her career. 2 years ago, she tore her ACL. Last year was really limited with a lower body injury, made just 1 start, 12 appearances. And then this year, too, was injured in that Notre Dame game, as I mentioned. So just trying to get back.
But such an important piece to this Duke team, and one of the reasons why they're able to switch to this formation, the 3-back, with her presence, her experience on the back line. Good to see her back up, even though it was slow in the end.
Another foul whistled by the referee. Under 15 minutes to play in the first half, scoreless so far between these two teams. They split their 2 meetings last year, Virginia winning 1-0 at Duke in the regular season, and then Duke getting some revenge, getting a 2-1 victory here at Klockner Stadium in Charlottesville in ACC quarterfinals. Kat Rader with the game-winning goal for the Blue Devils in that one. Offside flag up here.
Get it, Lacey.
Well, Friday's ACC PM with Mark Packer and Taylor Tannenbaum will come to you from Coral Gables as the prep for college football Saturday, highlighted by Georgia Tech and Miami, starts at 4 Eastern. That game will be right here on ACCN Saturday night at 8 o'clock. Anything jump out to you so far, Lori, with these two teams? We asked the question. I think we're still waiting for the answer in terms of how they're going to find their scoring. The defense has been tough to beat, but anything that you pick up on from our first half so far?
Well, I think it's been surprising that Virginia's had a few more opportunities on quick breaks. We've seen the Blue Devils do a good job of committing numbers forward, keep possession higher up, but that has allowed for space to open up in behind, and Cavaliers have done well to go quickly. It's now about the decision-making, the final pass, or taking the shot themselves. You see a bit of a stoppage in play on that far side. But nothing too surprising. Yeah, nothing too surprising for either of those teams. We're seeing they want to keep possession, but now I think it's about being a bit more aggressive, ruthless once they do get into that final third.
And this foul will set up the set piece, Lori, in a good position for Duke. Kat Rader standing over the ball. ACC Freshman of the Year a year ago. She'll take it with her right foot into the box, bouncing across. And it's a goal kick. Sure seemed like somebody should have been able to get a foot on that ball, but it made its way through untouched and out of bounds. Maybe Katie Groff did get a foot to it, but couldn't get it on target. Cagle, there's been a good spark for Virginia in the attack, has had some nice moments, but nothing resulting in one in the back of the net yet. Lacey McCormick gets it to the midfield. And Cagle making the run, the pass just a little off. Goldthwait. Had Graham crisscrossing in front of her. Duke trying to keep it in this attacking end.
I think the thing that's missing for both of these teams that we saw so much last year is that real difference maker right now. And granted, a lot of the players that are filling those minutes are young, as we're going to see that ball served in. Tough clearance in the end for the Cavaliers. and forced just to send it out of play on this near side, but is that real difference maker? We talk about Leah Godfrey being one of the best midfielders, if not the best player in the country at her position. And then Michelle Cooper on the other side for the Blue Devils, and how important they were in terms of digging out victories when they needed it most. And sometimes in ACC play, that's what you need, is somebody that just can take the team on their shoulders and win games for you. And it's one of the reasons why I think we've seen both of these teams, I'm hesitant to say struggle to score goals, because both teams have so far this season, but struggle to really be clinical in ACC play so far this season.
Yeah, I think you'd be fair to say they have struggled in conference play, because you're right, in the non-conference, Virginia is putting up as many goals as anybody, but since getting into conference play, it's obviously been few and far between. 1 goal in their last 4 for the Cavaliers, and Duke has been getting the shots that they want, but just, what is it, 1 shot in this game so far. They averaged 16.3 against ACC opponents this year.
Well, there certainly is fine margins in conference play as well. We've already seen a few good opportunities for the Cavaliers. At least one should have been put in the back of the net. And they'll be disappointed if they go into this half 0-0. Allowing the Blue Devils to stay in this game as long as possible, especially playing at home.
Duke on the attack now. Blue Devils looking to build through the midfield. Over to Piper. Piper, long touch, loses it. Plenty of time for Cam Roller. #1 defender ranked in her recruiting class in the country by Top Drawer Soccer. Jill Flamia, who's been dealing with some injuries as well, has been a bit in and out. An important player for Virginia. She'll come out for these last 8 minutes and change as Laughlin Ryan, senior out of Charlotte, North Carolina, comes on for the Cavaliers. Rader with it on the edge of the area, can't get the shot past Stouty. Duke still on the attack. Laguerre chasing into the corner. Piper with some space. Roller serves it up.
Well, big time play from Stouty defensively to initially block the shot inside the 18-yard box for the Cavaliers, and then Duke doing a good job. And I think the challenge and maybe the adjustment that they'll look to make, the Duke Blue Devils going into the second half, is how they can get more width. Because in that last opportunity, just so narrow. We've seen that a bit with the Cavaliers as well once they get into the attack. But if you can stay wide, then it really forces the back line of the opposition to decide, are they going to gut out to contest the service that's coming in, or are they going to stay central and allow for that ball to be played in and then have to defend inside their own 18-yard box and potentially give up some loose balls inside the box where it can be most dangerous for both teams.
Una McCormack, who's played some significant minutes in her first year, started every game for the Cavaliers, comes off in the midfield. Ella Carter, freshman from Leesburg, Virginia, coming on in her place. Ball for Cagle at her feet. Piper once again getting back to cover defensively. Does go out of bounds. This will set up a corner for Virginia.
Cagle's been excellent in this game, drawing attention defensively, creating opportunities as much as possible. And if I'm the Cavaliers right now, I'm consistently looking to find her in the final third, because she's picking up some really good positions. Well done from Piper to get back defensively, make the play, does send it out for a corner kick. right idea for the Cavaliers. And it's those quick breaks, once again, where they've been most successful. Now can they do more with this corner kick?
Third of the first half for Virginia. Theoret once again from the corner to take it. Ball up high, and it is punched out. I think that was Freeman who got her glove to it. Rader picks it up for Duke. Knows she needs some help and takes her time. I think this is where you're talking about, Lori. Look, those wing backs on this near side, Piper and Chico, number 17 on the far side, tend to like to cut in, it seems like, in this first half. Now they're going to get some width. Goldthwait, the sub, brings it into the area. Piper. High lofted ball, and Kayla White takes a little tumble going out of bounds, but knows there's no danger there. Saturday afternoon at 11 a.m. Eastern, the ACC Huddle Crew will kick off the day at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami with a 90-minute pregame show leading into Virginia, hosting William and Mary at noon. They'll also have halftime shows and pre- and post-game shows throughout the day, and they'll be back at 6:30 to wrap up the afternoon with highlights and analysis and get you set for Georgia Tech Miami at 8. After the game, stay right here in ACCN for a complete wrap-up and interviews with players and coaches. Plenty of great coverage across football Saturdays here on ACC Network. Four minutes to play in our first half from Klockner Stadium in Charlottesville. Still scoreless between Duke and Virginia. Cavaliers, though, picking up another corner kick.
And we've talked about this before. Sometimes when the run of play, yes, the Cavaliers are getting opportunities in the attack, but when you don't have a ton of rhythm, or Duke's doing a good job of getting numbers back defensively, and this is a really good opportunity to force the issue, get a go-ahead goal late in this first 45. And directly off of a ball that's going to come from Theoret. And you mentioned how good her service has been throughout this season so far.
Theoret drives it across. Again, it is Freeman with a touch. It doesn't go far. She needs some help from her defense, and she gets it. Leah Freeman was battling a little bit with injury at the start of the season. Took her a while to find her footing at her new home at Duke. Grad transfer from Oregon. Turnover. Is there another chance to be had before halftime for Virginia? They've been earning corner kicks at least their last couple trips. Now Cagle has come off. Goldthwait came on in her place, Peyton Goldthwait. So both Goldthwait sisters now on the field, Peyton for Virginia and Phoebe for Duke.
Well, better control for the Virginia Cavaliers as this half is worn on. Better possession, generating more opportunities into the attack, and now it's about the patience. Finding those moments when you can go quickly, but then still have patience, composure once you do get higher up the field. If it's not on, to go with a final pass, and can you recycle it around? That's where Theoret is so important to the Cavaliers. It's demanding to get on the ball. If it's not on, don't force it. Go out the other side, create a little combination, and then force the Blue Devils to have to run a bit more defensively. They've been pinned back in, and we're going to see another errant pass on that far side, and potentially gives UVA one more opportunity in the attack in this half.
Yeah, and the Cavaliers trying to maintain that clean sheet that they have held throughout the first half in all of their matches so far this season. And they come in, Virginia, with just 6 goals against through their first 10 matches. That's tied for the fewest in the ACC, although 4 of those have come in conference play. Ball will bounce with a chance in the box for Goldthwait.
Well, that's exactly it for the Cavaliers. They do such a good job of quick little combination on the far side and then open it up with a big ball into Goldthwait on the other side. Haven't seen much of that from the Cavaliers, but now we're starting to see a bit of the variation that they have in the attack.
Final seconds of the first half, Virginia in control, edge of the area. Nice turn shot, just misses. Maya Carter with a laser just out of bounds.
Oh, beautiful opportunity, and Maya Carter trying to get on the score sheet herself. Low driven ball just wide of that far post.
Absolutely gorgeous day in Charlottesville. It was around 77 degrees and sunny at kickoff, and now we get into our second half. First meeting of 2023 for these two very familiar foes. Duke in blue, visiting on the road, and Virginia all in white. Cavaliers coming off back-to-back losses in conference play to North Carolina and Wake Forest. And combining that with a draw, they're still looking for their first ACC win of the season, and Virginia has never gone through their first 4 ACC matches without a victory. So we'll see if they can change that, get in the win column this afternoon.
And much like we heard Kieran Hall speak about the Blue Devils, I imagine that's the exact same message that Steve Swanson gave to his Cavaliers about coming out aggressively. Yes, you created chances, you didn't find the back of the net. That is a talking point coming into this game. But now can you send more numbers forward? Can you be patient and composed?
Oh, good chance here. Blue Devils in the box, a shot at the post and in! And it is the junior JJ, they call her, Geneva Endow. Made her first career start today and now picks up her first career goal.
Well, it's a dream start for the Blue Devils, the opening minute of this second half, and they just find a bit of space in behind the back line of Virginia. Virginia's the one that had pushed numbers forward to keep possession, but then the Blue Devils get numbers going forward. A fortunate bounce into the path of Endow off of the Cavaliers, and then makes no mistake about it. You see right there is where it gets held up and slices through it initially, goes off the side post, and then just takes an odd bounce though and finds the back of the net. Fortunate for the Blue Devils, Endow, and you can see what it means to them. And now you're gonna see the Cavaliers really have to chase this game at home. These first few minutes of the second half.
Well, Kieran Hall just told us, Lori, his team was gonna come out aggressive. I'd say so. They made no mistake pouncing on that ball. They had good numbers getting into the attack, and then JJ putting it away. A day to remember for her so far. Hopefully, in her case anyway, she hopes it stays that way. But let's see what type of a response Virginia may come up with.
Yeah, and sometimes you just have to make a bit of your luck, and Blue Devils had done a good job as soon as they found that little bit of space in behind the back line, got numbers going forward, and that deflection is what held the ball up into the path of Endow. But just got to take your opportunity, slice through it, keep it on frame. Got a little kiss off the post, but found the back of the net, and that was something that the Blue Devils and the Cavaliers have been talking about coming into this match.
Defense has it covered, but it really has been Duke on the front foot to start this second half. It's resulted in a goal in the 47th minute.
Yeah, great ball from Thea right there, and one of the reasons why Steve Swanson has talked so highly of her, getting out of pressure quickly, finding the space on the other side. And that's going to be an important piece because the pressure is coming fast and furious right now from the Blue Devils. So if they can break that first initial presence defensively, the Cavaliers, then they'll have space out the other side.
Stouty looking up over the top, couldn't connect. It's kept alive by Chloe Yapich. Chance now maybe brewing. No, Freeman will get there first. Una McCormack, the freshman, the one closest to the ball for Virginia. And Virginia now responding with a little bit of pressure of their own. Theoret opts to go wide. McCormack back to Allie Ross, who'll serve it across the box, and it only gets as far as the gloves of Freeman.
Well, I think that's a good idea from the Cavaliers to find the wide area, serve balls in, because it is going to force Freeman to have to come off her line, be confident, commanding in the box. And if Virginia can get more numbers, it can cause some problems defensively for the Blue Devils.
Bad distribution here. It went right to Theoret. Now McCormack. Big switch all the way over to Yapich.
And we just heard Steve Swanson say, take space. And I think those are the moments where McCormack, the center back for the Cavaliers, can step in and pick up that ball and allow for Yapich to get into a more advanced position.
This is McDermott running after it. Clearance in the box from Brewster.
She certainly had to be sure about that. If you're going to go to ground inside your own 18-yard box, have to make sure you get all of the ball. Brewster times that perfectly. Just expanding on that previous point, it's the little details for both of these teams, but the Cavaliers in particular. If McCormack steps up and takes that ball that's crossed over.
This one bouncing down, Lori, edge of the area. Yapich back across, just a little bit of a miss. McDermott tried to get her head onto it.
Maybe a little bit of the commentator's curse as I'm trying to finish my point. And now the Cavaliers have tons of numbers getting into the box service from the wide areas. But it's just going to allow them to get more players higher up the field. Force the issue a bit more on the Blue Devils as that ball, a bit uncharacteristic of Theoret, played right out of bounds.
It's only a curse for us, though, right? If it feels like he just,
yeah.
we can't talk.
Yeah, we want them to attack. Keep going. Exactly, both teams.
It certainly, it's felt like a different half than what we saw in the first 45, which is not to say that either team was necessarily sitting back defensively. But I think just that initiative that you have talked about, you hear the words like being brave, being ruthless. That's what it has felt like for both teams to start this second half.
And energy, and it is a balance, because how do you bring energy where you're confident, you're playing direct, you're on the front foot, but then at the same time you have the presence of mind to stay composed when you need it most to be able to finish off the chances that you get. And there's a challenge that Flaming is going to play quickly for the Cavaliers. But for both teams, that comes with experience, and that's a little bit where they're lacking in the attack, is the experience to understand what it takes to break down teams, to find margins in the end.
Well, Cagle just earned a corner kick, 5th of the match for Virginia, first of this second half. And if you remember when we spoke with Steve Swanson, he said, this is an area we know we need to be better, we can try to take advantage of. He did not feel like they were clinical enough in the first half. Let's see what they do now.
Well, we made that point in the first half as well. If you don't have a ton of opportunities, clear opportunities inside your 18-yard box, then can you capitalize on these? Theoret with the service once again for the Cavaliers.
Here comes the service from Theoret. She'll keep it low and on the ground. Something a little different. Now perhaps a chance to put it in the box, and she does. In the air. Flamia will get to it first. Virginia still has some good numbers. 3 players right around the ball. That Stouty touches it out for Cagle. Cagle into the area, forces a save. And Duke still not in the clear. McCormack. finishing off what was an exquisite sequence for the Virginia Cavaliers, and we are all tied up.
Well, it all starts off of the set pieces that we were talking about coming into this second half. Can you be more clinical? They opt to go short, the Virginia Cavaliers, and then that allows them to continue to have numbers in the box. The patience, the composure, they find the wide areas, and then they get a late run on that far post off a service right here to that far post. No one tracks her from the Blue Devils for Cagle, and she just sneaks in, and that is an excellent finish because she still has work to do to keep that on frame, sneak it past Freeman. First time finish, and what a finish that is to equalize this game here at home for the Cavaliers.
Sixth goal of the season and a beauty for Maggie Cagle, coming in the 54th minute, tying up this match. And new life for both of these teams. Remember, Virginia seeking its first ACC win of the season. Duke had just come up with its first second half goal in ACC play to start this second half. But now here we go again, both teams even.
And great response from the Cavaliers, something that Steve Swanson will be incredibly happy with. Don't hold their heads low after conceding to Duke in the first few minutes of this second half. Continue to bring the energy immediately, try to create opportunities, and it's off the set pieces, and that certainly was part of that halftime talk for Steve Swanson's team. How can they be more ruthless, create opportunities off the corner kicks especially?
And there's a trend, if you look in the top left of your screen, that the Duke Blue Devils certainly hope they can get away from. 8 of the 11 goals that they have conceded coming in the second half this season.
And from a Cavaliers perspective, this is where you continue to put the pressure on the Blue Devils. You just got one goal back. You're playing at home. You've had the majority of the control of this game on both sides of the ball. Now can you continue to put them under pressure, get that go-ahead goal? And for the Blue Devils, this is exactly what you want. Take a little bit of the sting out of the game, keep possession, don't give away easy opportunities. See if you can get yourself back into this game from a control perspective through keeping a bit of possession and maintaining the ball.
Theorette, plenty of time to make some decisions as she creeps closer toward midfield. Flamia, first to the ball for Virginia, has it at her feet, has Maya Carter, who came into the match on the other side. She keeps it on this near side. Ross. Left-footed ball across, header, up and over from Maya Carter. Stays in, though, somehow.
Maya Carter might even be a bit shocked.
Yapic eventually with the final touch of that sequence as Freeman pulls it down.
Another good attack, though, from the Cavaliers, getting numbers in and around the ball, looking for the combination play. There was an opportunity where a little window had opened up on that previous opportunity for Flamia to square that ball across. It's a little hesitation and does allow for the Cavaliers to get more numbers higher up the field, but still creating opportunities. And it's that energy and the ability to be direct in their play. It's going to put the Blue Devils on their back heels.
Nikki Chico on the ball, number 17. It's her birthday, by the way, for Duke. And it is back in possession for Virginia. Cagle, the goal scorer, gets it to Carter, who came into the match for McDermott. Back to Cagle it goes. That's a good combination. Cagle has Ross in the middle of the field. Makes a couple of moves and should earn a corner kick off of that. But I mentioned Maya Carter coming into the match. You may have noticed Meredith McDermott was fouled prior to that last corner kick that eventually led to the Virginia goal. And you can see she's clearly in some pain over on the sideline. Intended to.
Well, with McDermott out, then this is the player right here that got the tying goal. Cagle Spoke about both of those players coming into this game, how important they've been. Cagle, excellent in her first year last year. Now even more of a significant role this year. That was her 6th goal of the season. That ties McDermott.
Driven ball from the corner, still alive in the middle of the box, now cleared away by Duke. 6th corner that Virginia has taken in this match. It's a season high in terms of conceding corners for Duke. Chloe Yapich started her career first 2 years at Baylor, now in her 2nd year with Virginia.
Come on, Ray! Step with him! Let it run. Go for it!
Cagle is offside, so that will give the ball back to Duke. Much more to come this afternoon on ACC Network. A volleyball doubleheader coming your way next with Florida State hosting Duke. And then we'll cap the day with 5th-ranked Louisville and NC State. That's in Raleigh at 4 Eastern, right here on ACCN and the ESPN app.
Big ball, big ball!
It just seems, Lori, in the second half, like Virginia has been wherever Duke has tried to put the ball. Really been reading the play well and gaining some extra possessions for themselves.
Well, and defensively, both teams have been good, and I think that'll be the evolution of this Duke Blue Devils team. We spoke a bit about Michelle Cooper and how important she was for them last year, and she single-handedly would keep them in games just with her ability to score goals, her ability to make runs in behind, cause so many problems. And for the last 2 years, that was the identity of their team. Yes, they have wonderful players that can keep possession, but now it's much more of by committee when they get into the attack. So that will be the challenge for the Blue Devils. Once they do win it, be a bit more patient, but get more players around the ball. Right now, it's easy turnovers. Virginia's high pressure, and then their ability to turn the Blue Devils over higher up the field. We're going to see a tough challenge right now.
Yeah, it's Kat Rader who's down, Lori. So he just showed McDermott being out and tended to for Virginia. And these are the 2 players you highlighted coming into this match, such key pieces offensively. Now Kat Rader down and getting some attention on the field. It's like laceration maybe above her eye, and then McDermott's been holding and favoring that shoulder since a collision earlier in the second half.
Yeah, she certainly seems to be in a bit of discomfort. McDermott on the bench for the Cavaliers, and Rader still getting tended to. But with the Blue Devils, it's tough because you're looking for those opportunities, and when a team like Virginia that's trying to smother you defensively, the space is going to be in behind. We saw Virginia take advantage of that a bit in the first half against the Blue Devils. Now that same space is opening up for Duke. Can they take advantage of it? But it's about finding those players in higher positions. And I think at some point in time when you're playing this new formation, it's about getting used to that, understanding of where players are going to be, the cohesion to the front runners in the attack. And haven't seen a lot of that combination play throughout the entirety of this match so far for Duke. And it could just take a bit of time, especially as Rader, who's been an important piece, slow to get up here.
Yeah, and I thought maybe it was a cut above her eye. It may have been a contact issue that she's just trying to get cleared up. So I think she is coming off here at the moment. Mia Minestrella, a freshman out of Redondo Beach, California, who made her first career start in the last match for Duke. She'll come on in place of Rader. Looks like a couple other changes as well. Devin Lynch coming back into the match for Duke. Sarah Bruner back replacing Ross in the attack for Virginia. And remember, you are allowed a re-entry in college soccer in the second half. Well, this is the last play with Rader. Maybe, that's strange. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, man. Maybe something flew into her eye. I don't know. But the good news is hopefully it's not too serious. You may see a little more life in this second half of a Sunday ACC matchup because neither of these teams played on Thursday. Typically, as you well know, Laura, you get into that Sunday afternoon match, you've played a difficult Thursday match, it can change what you're able to do, but it is an interesting scenario this time that there were no Thursday matches. So each team getting a little bit more time to rest and prep for this one.
An important rest, too, because at this time in the season, kind of towards the midway point, but if you don't have the double games throughout 1 week, then you do have more time to rest. It can be tough with a quick turnaround, the heat. Both of these teams not as deep as we've seen in the past, so not as much room for rotation in terms of players and saving their legs.
Oh, Laguerre looked like she was trying to set somebody up, and she's maybe a player, Karina Laguerre, number 16 for Duke, who you'd like to see on the ball a little bit more. She was limited last season in her freshman year as she was away with the U20 US team, and then also had some injury she was dealing with, but is a player who can really be a game-changing type of player in the attack.
Yeah, she certainly is. And when you think about players that are going to link up with Rader up top, Laguerre is one of those players. They are asking her and Lynch, those were the two attacking midfielders that started this game, to tuck in a bit more. And that's why we've had questions about where the width was going to come from for the Duke Blue Devils. And we've seen that play out a bit in the attack because they've been stifled if they can't get the ball wide enough quickly. But Laguerre has all the tools to be the difference maker, as you mentioned, Jen. Can take players on, also not afraid to shoot from distance, and 2 goals already on the season. If you're going to do it by committee, those are 2 players, Rader and Laguerre, that you're going to want linking up, causing problems for the opposition.
Katie Groff just charging her way onto the ball, taking over possession. Now a shot from Lynch. Doesn't miss by much.
No, she doesn't, and that's exactly what you want to get yourself into this game. Look to see if you can score another goal to put Virginia under some pressure here at home, and haven't seen much of this that really tests Kayla White from distance. That one just goes wide, but good opportunity from the Blue Devils from distance. A lot of the play had been in combination, and why not have somebody go themselves?
Rader still on the bench at the moment for Duke. And Minestrella on in her place at the top. Here's Laguerre, lays it off beautifully. Minestrella just out of her reach.
And Minestrella has a fun background in terms of training with Angel City prior to coming to Duke University, experience with the U20s, and credits Angel City and the competitiveness and the speed and tempo of those training sessions, Jen, to being able to come right in and understand the physicality of the college game.
And got to see a couple of former Duke Blue Devils, Lily Nabet, Mackenzie Pluck, both a part of that preseason with Angel City as well. And gosh, they are in a battle right now in the NWSL to get into the playoffs.
Every team's in a battle, Jen. What are you talking
Everywhere.
about?
That's true. It's an exciting time of the year, that's for
yeah,
sure.
Absolutely.
Great time to be a soccer fan across all levels, college, pro, some international matches going on. Brewster misplays this ball, but it winds up working out, gets back to Freeman. Both of these teams last season making it all the way to the NCAA quarterfinals. They've obviously found plenty of success in the postseason. And I don't think anybody would look at this Virginia team and think it was going to be an easy matchup, despite the fact that they're still that 0 in the win column in terms of ACC. They're not ranked at the moment, first time since 2009 that they've fallen out of the top 25, but watching them play here today, you can see there are a lot of similarities between these two teams in particular, and the way they like to play, the quality that they have.
21.
Here comes Cagle.
What number is Helen?
But I think we're also seeing for how good of these teams are when they are in possession. just missing a bit of that final piece. And we saw the highlights at halftime of UNC and Florida State. Dudley in particular, the freshman from Florida State, she has been excellent.
Yeah.
One of the best players, not only freshman, but one of the best players in college soccer right now. And with the fine margins in this conference, you do really need one of those difference makers, because when there's such little separating the teams, you have to rely on somebody that can dig deep and get you goals at times. And right now, with, again, significant injuries to both of these teams, or significant departures going to the pros, and credit to the programs, because that just shows how well they prepared their players. But it makes it tough sometimes from season to season then to be able to retain some of that key personnel.
Saw both teams making some substitutions. Samar Gidry back into the match. She started the match but didn't start the second half for Virginia. And Kati Drazina, the Notre Dame transfer, grad transfer as well, on for Duke. And for the Blue Devils goal scorer, Geneva Endow.
Anaya, look at your shoulder! Anaya, look at your shoulder!
Lynch looking to connect with Maggie Graham. Punched out of bounds by Stouty. We talked about the Goldthwait sisters, one on either team today. Of course, Maggie Graham got to play with her older sister, Delaney Graham, for so many years at Duke. Maggie a senior this year. Delaney now finished her career.
Yourself in the game, okay? You need to play long, play long.
This one's still up for grabs. Under 24 minutes to play, as Virginia will make another substitution. Lacey McCormick coming out. Kiki Mackey, a junior from Naples, Florida, on in her place. And perhaps that's a good sign, Lori. McDermott looking like she's maybe getting ready to come back in. Weren't sure what her status would be, as she looked to be in some pain on the sideline for Virginia. Good step in to win the ball. That's Cam Roller, the freshman for the Blue Devils. Drazina, plenty of time, serves it with her left across the box, looking for the header. And Devin Lynch can't get it on target.
Well, both teams' opportunities are really starting to come from turnovers in precarious areas. Is great play initially from Thea Rhett, and then just an uncharacteristic ball that's given away right in the middle of the field that leads to this opportunity. Long ball into the box. Enough pressure from the Cavaliers to deny a clear opportunity for Duke. But it's those giveaways in the middle of the field in dangerous areas that both teams will want to clean up.
Kayla White has to play this with her feet, gets into some trouble, and now the whistle is blown. I don't really know what that would be unless it was an offside against Duke, because there certainly wasn't unwarranted contact, and there was no possession by Kayla White.
Yeah, I actually think it was. They're calling a foul in favor of Kayla White. It is a tough call, because Kayla White had put herself in this position, as there's the heavy touch that allows the pressure from the Duke Blue Devils to come, and I think right there is where they're saying, but it's actually Kayla White going to ground herself.
Yeah.
To make sure that the other player from the Duke Blue Devils isn't going to get on the end of it and get off the hook there a bit.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, the goalkeeper should be treated like a field player, because she is playing the ball with her feet. She doesn't get that extra protection, which goalkeepers should get when they're up in the air and they're unprotected.
Yep.
Then you understand. But I think certainly Virginia fortunate in that instance.
Right, and a lot of credit right now to the Duke Blue Devils have regained some control. We are going to see an offside on this near side, but have regained some control since conceding. We've seen it back and forth in terms of who's had a bit more of the possession, better opportunities, and their response was also quality once they conceded that tying goal to the Cavaliers. And But the Cavaliers under some significant pressure here as of late.
Duke picked up the first goal of the second half in the 47th minute, and Dow with her first career goal. And then 7 minutes later, Maggie Cagle answering for Virginia. And Cavaliers trying to get 2 goals against Duke, something they haven't been able to do very often. Just once it's happened in the last 11 meetings. Although Virginia has had the better of the Blue Devils. They've just been pretty low-scoring affairs typically when these two get together. But last 5 of the regular season, Virginia unbeaten, 3 wins, 2 draws. Of course, Duke picking up the win in the postseason in the ACC quarterfinal here at Klockner last season. And this is a good sign. Great to see McDermott coming back on for Virginia. And she replaces Cagle for the moment. You would imagine, though, we're going to get to the final maybe 10 minutes of this match, maybe more, and you'll get to see the two of them together should McDermott be able to play the way she'd like. Obviously, she was in some pain earlier in this half.
Well, I think that'll be the question. Good positioning there for Duke Blue Devils defensively. Just get themselves between the ball and the player, draw the foul. But that'll be the question about McDermott and how well she's moving. Is she just kind of controlling that shoulder, not allowing it to take the hits? And we'll see how her movement is in the next few moments.
McDermott coming into this match, 6 goals. That was tied for second in the ACC. You can see Mackey just looking to play this back. And that initially, a ball played back to Kayla White, is what got her into trouble a few moments ago.
Well, there's a couple of nonchalant plays from Virginia defensively. One from Kayla White, and that time was Stouty trying to play out, just plays it right into the Blue Devil player.
On Friday, get ready for ACC PM with Mark Packer and Taylor Tannenbaum. They'll come to you from Coral Gables this week as the prep for college football Saturday, highlighted by Georgia Tech and Miami. That show starts at 4 Eastern, and that game is right here on ACCN Saturday night at 8 Eastern. Pace slowing maybe just a little bit here, Lori, after both teams really came out guns a-blazing to start the second half. Duke in particular, and now they're on the attack once again. Minestrella, the freshman, in for Raider. Lynch gets it low, and I believe that did take a deflection out of bounds, and that would set up what would be the first corner kick of this match for Duke.
Well, I think it's hot. It's at noon, early start to this game. Not surprising that there might be some tired legs, but these are opportunities where you have to dig deep, be clinical on the set pieces, and it starts with the service.
Well, Devin Lynch, 2 assists on the year, both of them coming off of corner kicks. Can she find another high lofted ball? Groff has been her favored target, still bouncing around. Guidry looking upfield. Now Piper tried to continue her run, couldn't keep it in. Throw to the Cavaliers. What will the final 15 minutes of this one bring? Both teams in need of a win. That ACC season just seems to fly by so quickly. Big collision here. Stays with the Blue Devils. Drozina had it. Now a ball bouncing forward. McDermott takes some more contact to that left shoulder, and you can see it hangs down. That is the shoulder that was bothering her, and that is exactly where she takes the hit. She's trying to run it off, you can tell, but that's the last place she'd want to feel a defender coming in.
But it's also a good sign that she's going into that type of collision, that type of contact, because typically if you're in that much pain, you don't even want to put yourself in that position to have to go shoulder to shoulder with the opposition. There certainly is in some discomfort, but can she continue to find a little bit of separation to put herself in these positions right here?
Yeah, give her some space to work with. Here comes McDermott, tries to cut it away. Chico had been the player tracking back defensively last time as well. Here comes some help. Virginia on the ground. The shot won't challenge Freeman much. Leah Collier coming up to take the shot, the freshman out of Loganville, Georgia. And in a season where Virginia has already been hit so hard with injuries, they can ill afford another. And McDermott clearly fighting through some pain to be back on the field in this one today. Mentioned it earlier, but Emma Dawson, Leah Godfrey, the three-time All-American, certainly the top offensive threat for the Virginia Cavaliers. And then Lainey Rouse, one of the top defenders. She's out for the season. All three of those are. And then Brianna Jablanowski is also out at the moment, dealing with an ankle injury. They hope to have her back, but not yet. Collier, her ball central is intercepted. A little too long. So Collier coming off, and a couple of other changes. Allie Ross coming back into the match, along with sophomore Helen Simbas, who had to redshirt last season. But Simbas is one of those defensive substitutions we've seen a number of times this year for Virginia. And how much now, Lori, do we see each team really push for that go-ahead goal to try to get those full 3 points in this all-important match? Duke still ranked in the top 25. Virginia would love to get back there, but know they have work to do.
Well, in these moments, you're playing at home, the Cavaliers, the onus is on you to continue to push numbers. Just make sure that you don't leave yourself exposed in behind the play. So if it is turned over, then Blue Devils have an opportunity to get runners going forward and create chances themselves, as we're seeing them build into this attack right now.
Ball will not get far enough across for Conti Drazina. And interestingly, was just looking around, Kat Rader still on the bench for Duke, and Maggie Cagle still on the bench for Virginia. You can bet those two will be coming back in. Whenever that final push is on the way for both teams, those two, you'd imagine, will be a part of it. Cagle, the goal scorer for Virginia in the 54th minute. Rader had the assist on Duke's goal in the 47th. Piper was ready for the throw, but I think some changes are going to be coming from the sideline. Some of those substitutions we were talking about. Here comes Kat Rader back into the match. The ACC Freshman of the Year a year ago for the Duke Blue Devils. 5 goals, 2 assists on the season. She'll replace Minestrella. And Julia Sonicheva, a transfer from UCLA, was a part of that national championship winning team for the Bruins last year. now part of Duke's team, is into the match. And Laughlin Ryan and Maggie Cagle in. So this is where you kind of rub your hands together and say, all right, let's go. These two teams now have gotten a little bit of rest for some of their offensive stars. Now they're ready to push and get that go-ahead goal.
Yeah, and these are the moments so that start to define seasons, because who can dig deep, who can be composed. Both teams have created ample opportunities throughout this match. Defensively, we've seen them be solid throughout the entire season. Now can you get something that allows you to build even more confidence in conference play? And I said it seconds ago, which is the onus is on Virginia to find that little bit of extra momentum in the attack here at home.
Drozina not on the same page with her teammate Raider, who just came into the match. All of our goal scoring happening here in the second half. Lori started just 2 minutes in with Duke.
Well, an aggressive start from Duke. Indow making her first career start, getting the go-ahead goal for the Blue Devils as well. Just ricochets that one off the post, takes an interesting bounce, and then an excellent response from the Cavaliers. Cagle sneaks into that far post. Still had work to do, because that is a difficult finish with that type of angle, as that ball's coming in from the far post.
And important to note, which you did when that goal happened, that the Virginia goal did start off of a corner kick. Depending on how you keep your stats, whether you count that one as off of a corner or not, I would. But it certainly started off a short corner that had all those players up, but that's what created the opportunity that allowed Virginia to tie this match. And with those subs that happened, we did see McDermott go back to the sideline for Virginia. So I think, as we said, she tried to fight it out for a few minutes, got some good opportunities when she was on the field, but maybe now the coaching staff just deciding if she's not 100%, not wanting to take any chances with her out there.
Well, it's difficult because it's one of those moments where, as an attacker, especially fighting off the defenses of the opposition, using your upper body considerably, if you're in any sort of discomfort, really throws off the balance that you have to get on the end of plays.
Raider in the middle, ball goes behind her. Drozina that left foot from Drozina, the header with some authority, but put wide. Maggie Graham coming up to get on the end of the ball.
Well, it's a good run deep out of midfield for the Duke Blue Devils. Maggie Graham reading the play really well. This is a service into the box, and Graham's the one that splits the two defenders for the Cavaliers. It trickles wide. We've seen a few of those opportunities for both teams. Trying to keep it on frame, doesn't miss the post by much. Have to stay switched on in these moments, though, on both sides of the field.
Slight shot advantage to Virginia. Cavaliers have been outshot in each of their last two matches. Those two losses in conference play to North Carolina and Wake Forest on the road. North Carolina was here at home. Ball flicked back, and Freeman takes over. Well, if you want to watch more soccer, on Thursday, we'll have a top 25 matchup over on ESPNU. Number 19 UCF hosting 21st ranked Texas. That's at 5:30 Eastern. And of course, you can also catch the action anywhere with the ESPN app. Good job there to just keep the ball alive by Carter. Cagle and the Cavaliers have more to say in this match. 6 minutes to play. Carter had one of the best looks in the first half for Virginia. Long ball into the box and out. Not a bad idea, though. Samar Guidry, Steve Swanson telling us, really played through a lot of pain, dealing with some tendonitis all of last season, and he wasn't sure really how much he'd be able to get from her this year. Just something she's got to manage. Tremendous asset when she is out there. Was part of the U.S. U20 team at the World Cup last year as well. Duke now has found Kat Rader on the break. Rader with the ball at her feet. Rolls it over a couple of times. 3 defenders in front of her. Graham again coming up. Back to Rader. Roller into the gloves of White.
Well, it gives us a good little glimpse of why Rader can be the difference maker for Duke. A few little step overs, tricky little moves, and then the right pass at the right time. Once the pressure does come and shuts her opportunity down. Just need to continue to get her more of those types of opportunities and put her in those positions more consistently throughout the 90 minutes.
Simbas. Quick touch, maybe too quick. But it will stay with Virginia, it looks like. And the road never gets easier in the ACC, particularly though for Duke. Look at what is coming. Pitt playing so well. They're going to travel to Pitt for their next match. And then the Battle of the Blues. North Carolina next Sunday. We will be on site for that one. Looking forward to it. Clemson is off to a great start this year. So Virginia Tech and then Florida State. That is no easy road for Duke coming up after this one. So you say, Lori, and I agree with you, Virginia has to take care of business at home, but it's why getting any sort of a point is so important for Duke with what they've got coming.
Yep, absolutely. I completely agree, especially knowing that Klockner's not an easy place to play. The competition, the rivalry between these two teams, but as we've mentioned a few different times throughout this game, Atlantic Coast Conference continues to show why it's the best, if not one of the best in the country, with just the competition, fine margins between each of the teams.
6 teams in the top 25 for the ACC, including 4 in the top 10 and the top 2 in North Carolina and Florida State, respectively. Under 3 minutes to play in this one. Virginia has been the team, you can tell, with, as Lori said, the onus to try to get a full 3 points on their home field. They've never gone 4 ACC matches without a win, and that is in danger of happening here if they can't find another goal. And that just makes it so difficult to climb back up.
Well, and I think that's the key distinction, right, Jen, is it just puts you in a position in conference play where it's difficult. Talk about how stiff the competition is. If you don't pick up points, if you don't get those wins, so challenging to get yourself into postseason plays. We're going to see a few substitutions here for the Duke Blue Devils, but for Virginia, it's not about the panic button. I think you can see in these games, and reference the North Carolina game. Yes, they lost that one 1-0 here at Klockner Stadium, but had the better of the play majority of that game. They're very much in all of these matches. It's just about that finishing touch right now, and that will just take time. That's typically the last thing that comes together when you're talking about the cohesion of a team.
Yeah, you just hope it's not too little too late, right? When you think about top 6 teams make the ACC tournament, of course, more teams than those 6 typically do make the NCAA tournament just based on the strength of this conference. 10 going last year to the postseason. But obviously the goal is to be up there toward the top if you can. Final minute of play here from Klockner Stadium. The Virginia Cavaliers came back to tie this one after Duke opened the scoring in the 47th minute. Will each team have to settle for just the point? Remember, there is no overtime in college soccer in the regular season anymore. They've saved that for the postseason only now. Final few seconds here. Lori, looks like this one is going to probably stay 1-1, and maybe you feel that's a fair result?
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, when you look at these two teams, they both knew coming in that this was going to be a tight contest. We saw that throughout this match, and both teams defensively showing why